So Bert, you were telling me earlier that you had a question, which it's fascinating, really. You were saying that if the personal is really a perception, like you often say, who experiences feelings, right?
Right. Yeah. Now that's a good question. First of all, when we talk about feelings, we're talking about emotions, because those are the first feelings that we feel. You see, because emotions, feelings have many gradations. They go from feelings outside, and then we can go, everything is a feeling. If I touch you like that, that's a feeling, you see. So we feel with our senses and everything else. But basically what we talk about emotions, feelings are emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one thing to understand that emotions are polarities. For example, you can feel positive emotion or you can feel a negative emotion. So these are interpretations of our personal view of life. So if you're conditioned to see something as a negative emotion, then you interpreted that emotion as negative. Okay, now keep here, because this is where it gets clearer. Now, what we call personal and emotions are two of the same thing. They're exactly the same. The personal and emotions are the same. Now, this is where we have to be intimate with the feelings, where actually we go beyond the personal. How do we do that? Well, first of all, what we call the personal is an interpretation of what is happening. Okay? So, when we look at an emotion, therefore, we can sit with the emotion and say, okay, emotion, what does emotion mean? Emotion, motion of energy. Energy, motion, in other words, emotion. So since it's emotion, where do I feel this emotion? We think we feel it in our brain. But what actually happens is we feel it in our body. The body is an emotional body. It's electromagnetic energy. So therefore, everything you feel in the body, whatever you feel it in your body. So if you allow yourself to feel it in the body, something happens here. Because your direction, your attention is based on the sensation in the body. If you base it on the body, therefore, your interpretation of making it good, bad, right, wrong, should, shouldn't, okay, is now irrelevant. Because now we've gone strictly into the energy of the emotion, but not the interpretation of it. Because when we suffer, it's the interpretation that suffers, not the energy. Got it? But then the energy is felt according to the interpretation. For example, if right now somebody said, I'm going to kill you tomorrow at a particular time, and you believe it. Well, the moment you believe it, your body is wrapped up in that thought.
Yeah,
scared, everything. Scared, you can't sleep, anxious, blah, 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 you're caught in it. Why? It's very simple, because not only because you believe it, but your interpretation is totally creating that chaos in the body. Now, when we make a point to experience an emotion, no matter how horrendous, no matter how frightening it is, for a few moments into its energy motion rather than the interpretation, in other words, right now I'm feeling the fear. So instead of thinking about it, I feel it. So I feel the heart pounding, the stomach churning, and then I take it to its optimum point, which is strictly sensation. Now, if I stay with the sensation and I begin to relax the body within that sensation, then we're going to reach something so beautiful very few people ever reach. It's called the neutral stage. We begin to understand that what we call bad or good, right or wrong, the interpretation is no longer valid at that point, because the real emotion is just motion of energy. It's just neutral. It's the interpretation that makes us suffer. So, so I just go a little further. Now, it is at that neutral point that we become intimate with ourselves. And at that point, there is no personal.
And you're feeling the feeling.
And you're feeling the feeling.
Okay.
So now you've taken it to the neutral point where there is no positive or negative. It just is a sensation. When you stay with it, something else happens. And this is the point of what I'd like to stress here, because this is the whole point of this talk. The moment you experience the neutral feeling and you stay with that neutrality where there is neither wrong or right, something takes over. This is the whole point. Okay. Now that something that takes over, we call it, I like to call it the intuitive heart. You can call it the isness, you can call it a divine name, it doesn't matter. You can call it the true self of you, but something takes over the moment it's neutral. And then you begin to see that what is actually happening, the fear that you felt, the anxiety that you felt, the interpretation that you gave it, was itself a seeking for meaning and love. Love because we are all unified. We all want to belong. We all want to be approved of. We want attention. We want to be recognized. We want to be appreciated. Yeah. See, this need for love is very important. We want to be counted. We want to be seen, in other words. Okay?
Yes, yes.
We need this love. That's our nature. But then there's another quality, which is meaning. In every emotion that we feel, we are seeking love and meaning. Meaning is all your life you have an image of who Brian is. You see? So this image is made up of a structure, of a construct in your mind. You see? But you don't actually see it how it is. One time during a workshop I said, okay, all of you have an image, right? Okay, how many of you believe that you have an image? And everybody raised their hand. I said, okay, now take pen and paper and write down or draw the image that you see. And most had difficulty with that.
The image of themselves.
The image of themselves.
Okay.
Right. So you see how subtle it is? We all have an image of who we think we are, but we're not aware that it is just an image. Okay. Now this image, because it is unconscious, we are protecting it and defending it most of the time. Because we have an idea of who it is. You see, the Burt self-image is made up of what I think I am, what I feel I am, what I believe I am, how
like
I
your
think.
body, your mind, your thoughts,
everything, right.
Yeah.
So when somebody threatens this idea that I have of myself, I am defensive, I am protective. That's called hurt, emotional hurt.
Right.
My interpretation is a defense of this image that I think I am.
Yeah,
see?
that's right.
Now, when I just become aware of the emotion as motion of energy, I go beyond that image, which means I go beyond the personal. Just for a moment. Well, the moment I do that, if I am very sincere in feeling the feeling as it actually is, which is just a sensation, and it reaches neutrality, I have taken it all the way to the ultimate sense. My job is done. I stay silent with that neutrality, and then something takes over. And it gives me the knowledge that the love and meaning that I'm seeking through that negativity is itself who I am already.
Very good.
Okay? Was that clear?
Yes, yeah. No, that was very good. I have a few questions. So the first thing, going back to the example you said about, say if somebody threatens to kill you tomorrow and you get scared, right? And you get scared. Is that the emotion of being scared, or is that the feeling of being scared?
That's the emotion of being scared.
Because you're caught in your...
It's absolutely emotional, but you cannot separate the two. Remember that the emotion always brings the interpretation of it. That makes it right or wrong, good or bad.
So once you feel that scaredness, you have to go beyond it.
And then when you go into the sensation, you don't try to go beyond the feeling of the fear. You don't try to do that. Okay, because not only it's unnecessary, but you won't succeed.
So you get in touch with it.
Yeah. No, what you do is get in touch with the motion of energy beyond the interpretation. For example,